following is a production of Dirty Mo Media. Hey everybody, it's Dale Jr. back again for another episode of the Dale Jr. Download here, Dirty Air, with my friend and co-host TJ Majors. How's it going, TJ?
It's going good. Welcome.
Yeah. How was your weekend?
Entertaining.
Awesome.
Entertaining. It was good. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yeah. So we had the Clash this past weekend. We're going to jump right into the reaction to overall what we thought about the Bowman Gray experience. I watched it on TV. I was on a trip working for a new partner in Florida, and but you were there in person, and we probably had two different experiences. But I thought from my vantage point, man, the energy and the excitement, the atmosphere that you experienced firsthand came through in flying colors. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, I've never been there before, so rolling in there Saturday was the first time, like even rolling up to the racetrack. And honestly, it was fairly simple getting there. The path they had getting in and out for everybody seemed to work really well. But just rolling up there, you could feel like, man, there was cup haulers parked at this little racetrack. You know what I mean? Like you roll up there and you see the haulers, and you start seeing some pit boxes and stuff, and it is a little stadium. Like, it's tiny for a stadium, but, man, the atmosphere there and the people, like, it's real. Like, now, like, you can kind of see it when you watch their Saturday night shows and stuff, but, man, these people are – it's full of race fans they could not wait to see a race there. And I can see why they're so passionate about their drivers that race there locally, and it absolutely had that feel that we talked about of, a couple of their guys, whether you liked them or hated them, with Tim and Burt running too. Like, they were all, I think, kind of, they were all united, pulling for both. You know what I mean? Like, that was their guys racing against the big guys, and it was cool, man. The atmosphere, just it's packed in such a tight little arena, and the racetrack itself is way better racing wise than kind of what I was expecting it to be. With the safer barriers and everything in, it made for some handling issues on throttle down on exits and stuff like that. And You could still get to a guy if you wanted to on entry, which is going to happen at short tracks. But overall experience of walking in there was really good.
So the heat races ran, and for the most part, they were just kind of ho-hum, but it was good. The last chance race got really physical, got really goofy at times and wild, but to be expected.
Yeah, for sure.
I didn't think at any point in the weekend did I see anything that I thought, man, that's embarrassing, or God dang, man, that's unfortunate. Everything that happened on the track, even when the drivers were kind of being goofballs with each other, is exactly what I was kind of hoping I would see. So, if you don't know Bowman Gray, it's got this reputation. They call it the Madhouse. There's all kinds of YouTube videos you can go look at online. Drivers chasing each other through the infield with their cars, running over each other after accidents, pushing and plowing in each other into the guardrail. The cops are often involved, comically chasing drivers around in the infield. Even drivers chasing each other on foot. There's a little bit of everything, and the crowd loves it, and it's theirs. They own it, and they embrace that type of drama. Now, that's not what happens every single weekend at that racetrack. I don't want to give a bad impression, but if you might see that when you go to Bowman Gray for a weekly show. That's who they are, and they're unapologetic about it, and I think I enjoy it. They used to have a show. They had a one-season show called The Madhouse on the History Channel, and they did a really good job with that show, sort of highlighting the atmosphere and the reputation that is Bowman Gray. And so when we went there with the Cup cars, my hope was that is our Cup drivers really don't have a tendency to run over each other. They would rather not get into drama with each other.
Yes.
Even over a win.
It's more rare now than it has been.
Yeah. and which I'm not a big fan of that part. But, of course, when I was a driver, I absolutely wanted nothing to do with drama, because the problem with it is when you get into some with somebody, the media talks about it all week, and then the next time you're in front of a microphone, that's the questions they're asking you about, and they just can't let it play out, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's bugs the out of you, because you just want it to play out on the racetrack. Rivalries will continue week after week, but the insistent questioning and conversation around the rivalry or the new rivalry during the week by the media really makes it difficult for the driver to want to put up with it. So we avoid it at all costs. We avoid running into each other, running over each other, because we just don't want to put up with the noise off the racetrack that it creates. And so a lot of our drivers don't get into that kind of stuff on a regular race weekend. Now, it happens sometimes at Martinsville and so forth, but it doesn't happen as often. And so I was hoping that when they go to Bowman Gray, that it would be inadvertently sort of they would just kind of lose their minds a little bit.
Yeah,
and they
have
did.
a little bit.
And they did, right?
Yeah.
So you saw all of the drivers that have those tendencies within them.
Mm-hmm.
You saw that track bring it out.
You definitely saw it.
Right?
Yeah.
And now if you take this, so imagine, TJ, in any year during the 80s, let's just go to that decade, there were a lot more trips to short tracks.
Mm-hmm.
There might be 4 short tracks in a row.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The cars were made of steel. They ran into each other every corner.
Yeah, and race the same car the next week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beat the shit out of each other. And sometimes that would develop into a feud that might last a couple weeks. But you couldn't get away from it, because you were at a short track beating the shit out of each other one week, then you're going to another short track the next week. Keep that going. You just kept going. And the schedule that we used to have back in the 80s was really conducive to the type of racing and the type of, chaos that we saw at Bowman Gray. And so it was really, really cool. That was my favorite part, is I saw racing that absolutely reminded me of what I loved in the 80s and the 90s. Before we sort of moved toward the 1.5 miles and more road courses, and short tracks fell away.
Yeah.
And so, they did a really fantastic job. NASCAR did a really, really good job on the racetrack. They put, they wiped it up, cleaned it up. Now, there was nothing wrong with it. It was certainly serving its purpose. But to take the cup cars there, they shined it up a little bit. And the cars and the package, in terms of the package of the cars and the tire, like you say, allowed for the drivers to have some handling issues, have to be smart. And it ended up being a really entertaining weekend. Now, so the race is happening. Me and you were in a group text with some friends, right?
Yeah.
These are friends that have been race fans for years.
Years.
Yeah. And I was really surprised by the reaction that they had, and I tend to take these little examples and assume that this is not just isolated to this text message. Like, maybe there's a lot of people that feel this way. Now, I know there are a lot of people that love what they saw, but I know there are some people that were a little bit shocked, and they were saying that it was too rough, too rough, too many laps. It took too long to run the last chance race.
It did take a long run.
Right.
That race was long.
Yeah.
They're not wrong. At the end, it did get a little silly there at the LCQ.
Yeah.
Well,
that's going to happen.
Then you got what you wanted, I guess, in the main event, because it was, the majority of the back half of the main event was nothing but just green flag laps and cars just.
Well, I didn't want that either, though.
Well, what do you want?
I just think the last few
You
laps,
can't-
it was just like stop every time.
You're picky.
This ain't walking in and have it your way, all right?
Yeah.
This ain't Burger King.
I mean, they could have raced a little
I'm
sooner.
so
in the main.
annoyed. I've never, this was like the perfect example of, I don't like that. And then that's like the two extremes happened in the very same weekend.
Yeah.
And both the same group of people complained about how silly the last chance race was and how boring the back half of the feature was.
So which one do you want?
I'm like, God, man, can't win.
No.
I just want what the beginning of the LCQ was, where there was the bumping and there was some spinning out, but I thought they were just.
You got to take the good with the bad.
Yeah, I mean,
and look,
I'd rather have the LCQ than the main.
I will say so. Let's be like me, all right? Be like me. Let me tell you, be like me. I didn't love the main event. I want them to be more physical.
Yeah.
I wanted that. They weren't, all right? But I'm not going to poo-poo on the whole thing because, I didn't get exactly what I wanted in the main event. Chase didn't get, I didn't want Chase to get spun out, but Chase didn't get roughed up for the win. I mean, Chase kind of leaned on him a little bit, and then Denny just fell in behind him. Next corner, never touched him. I'm like, what are we doing?
Yeah, Denny said on his podcast that he thought he could pass him straight up. I'm like, Denny, that's not you.
That's not what anybody.
That's not racing.
Yeah, this is the Clash, man. Come on.
That's not what anybody that bought a ticket to that place wanted.
And Blaney too said he didn't want to bulldog him.
I know. So that to me is nothing we can really do about. We can't really fix that. That's just how the drive. That was kind of my point earlier. Is the driver mentality over, the last several decades has shifted toward racing a lot more clean. And I think it's due to the size of the tracks we go to and the speed that we typically run these cars. So they're not at Bowman Gray. They're not at tracks racing the way you race at Bowman Gray. Now, if we were doing that more often, if there were multiple Bowman Grays in the schedule, there would be lots more bumping and banging that would carry over into other weekends, and there would be a lot more drama and feuding. There would be really, really good ratings.
Now, let me ask you guys this. Denny said that it didn't matter that it was. I asked him, was it people trying to be polite early on?
Yeah.
He said no, but do you think that maybe some of the veteran drivers were like, I don't really want to cause some beef?
The veteran drivers definitely race
smarter,
cleaner, and they take less. All right, put a guy like Priest in Denny's car in that moment. What is Priest going to do?
Ship him.
Yeah.
He's going to move him back.
I mean, you know why? There's probably many reasons why, but one of the reasons why is because Priest is trying to win a freaking race and trying to prove himself. And Denny and Blaney and these guys, Denny's got 50 freaking wins. He's on the back end of his career. He's completely content with everything that he's accomplished. So that really killer instinct to go win a Clash, win this race right now.
I think he's won 4 of them already in his career.
Right. So
but I liked Chase's aggression when he got there. I looked into one. Yeah. We were 5th or 6th, and I look into one, and I see Denny's left front locked up with Chase pushing him in there, and I'm like, oh, this is pretty cool. We're going to see they're going to move each other a little bit, and never really saw Denny give it back. I kind of wish that, that he did.
I wanted him to. I was watching that.
And he's good enough to not wreck him. He's good
right
enough
in that
to do
moment.
It.
I know. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe you saw a couple guys spin off the nose of a few cars, and you're like, "Wow, I didn't think that was that much of a hit." And it really just turns them around. This car, I will say, once you get a guy sort of loose and bust traction.
Oh, it slides.
It slides.
Yeah.
It's really kind of weird.
It's this lazy spin.
Yeah.
If they're already loose and you bump them a little bit, it's
they're
just
gone.
It's like they're drifting.
Yeah.
And
it seems
I noticed
it's
that
hard
too.
for them to correct like the old car.
Yeah.
And so maybe he was worried about that. You certainly don't want to spin a guy completely out of the lead, but it would have been kind of fun to see him trade some wraps.
Yeah, it was
paint.
I was enjoying the battle with them bumping into each other.
Yeah, I was too.
I was entertained completely there.
Yeah, so I found it humorous, I guess, that my buddies were complaining about the last chance race, and then they were complaining about the feature as well for two different reasons.
You know what I'd like to see with the second half? I think we should just not put tires on.
I was wondering that. So I was sitting in this. I was sitting in a sports bar watching the race on this really giant TV, and I didn't know whether the rule would allow them to change tires. And I was like, man, I hope they don't put tires on because it took it. If you watch the feature, it seemed like it started getting really interesting in terms of how cars handled and how badly
there was
they
comers
started.
and goers.
Yeah, in the last 30 laps of the first 100, the cars really started moving around a lot. Guys were missing corners and overdriving in the middle and shit. And then when they got tires back on, they all got comfortable again for the next 50 laps of the second half. So to your point, I mean, I think I'd have made their ass run the whole thing on 200.
I would too. I mean, then you really got to man it. There was actually quite a bit of tire fall off, and you could hurt them. You really could hurt them if you drove them too hard. So it was going to be interesting to see the guys that maybe rode in that mid-pack area, 8th, 10th, and just didn't really push anything, and then maybe if they could make a run at the end, and I would have liked to have seen something like that.
Yeah, I agree. Josh Berry, I was watching him. He did a really good job in the last chance race. I know he runs some people over, but I think that's kind of what you got to do at Bowman Gray, especially if you're trying to get into the main event. I mean, you can't be you got to do what you got to do.
That race was kind of messy. There's guys that were, like you said, you start that race, the guys that are going to be aggressive, and I knew the car numbers that were in that race. It's like, okay, this is going to be pretty entertaining, and it was right from the beginning.
I was texting back and forth with John Wood and Leonard Wood about Josh because I was kind of just checking, making sure John was okay. Cause,
he's probably loving it.
Well, the Wood brothers are very proper and
they are.
and respected and they're classy and vintage, and I was like, all right, man, you good with all this with John? But they were having fun. I guess there were a lot of drivers that were pretty upset with one another. And, so imagine, imagine if we were going to Martinsville next weekend.
Oh, this is carrying over.
Yeah. Right? So that's the way the schedule used to be.
Yeah.
That was the benefit, I guess, of
2 in a row,
having more short track racing in the series. Anyways, Kyle Larson won the LCQ and then drove through the field in the main. No.
I don't know how far he got up.
Kind of got up there to second or so.
No, I don't think Kyle got up that far. Kyle only got mid-pack.
Blaney was the one that drove through the field.
Kyle got mid-pack.
Yeah.
He drove through the LCQ field, decently.
I thought Blaney got up there pretty decent, and then his car kind of went away.
Yeah.
But that was really fascinating to see. Guys would change tires, and their cars didn't drive as well the second half of the race, or drove better.
You can make adjustments too, though. So it wasn't like we just put tires on. Everybody, you could make quite a few adjustments.
I'd heard a couple drivers talk about their cars just changing when they got tighter on that next set of tires. But
yeah, I mean, you could make a lot. I mean, there was people making all sorts of adjustments. So who knows?
And to your point, Blaney drove through the field, and Blaney, to my knowledge, didn't really turn anybody around to get through the field. Like, he passed pretty much everybody.
Blaney drove a smart race.
Yeah. He got into Denny a little bit, and that's about it.
Yeah. But, he didn't drive over the field.
I thought he was going to get lapped in the beginning. Like, he was literally just chilling in the back, not even trying anything.
Really?
Yeah. He just took advantage of whenever people started turning each other a little bit, and there wasn't a lot of it, but there's 5 or 6 that probably got spun around a little bit, and he just slowly took advantage of 2 guys going to each other. He scoots by. Real smart drive by Blaney.
Yeah.
What'd you make of Ty Gibbs in the LCQ?
With which part? When he swerved at Haley and hit wheels?
Yeah.
I mean, he got some good airtime, literally.
Yeah, I was listening to Door Bumper Clear, and Blaney talked about how that probably wasn't very comfortable for him when he landed.
Oh, yeah.
Because the cars have those rub blocks, and it probably slammed down on the ground, and it probably wasn't very comfortable. But, yeah, I mean, I think he was just trying to swerve and
voice displeasure,
bang doors, which is fine. I don't care. I guess if it was after the checkered, it would be a different story. But I'll be curious, I guess, if NASCAR thinks they.
I mean, is that much different than?
Yeah, I don't think it's a big deal.
Than Chicago.
Yeah, Chicago's after the race was over.
I guess
It's a little different.
I mean, I didn't. Yeah,
but I don't know. It's It depends. If you want to be ticky,
I think
if you want to be nitpicky.
I mean, I would adore a guy too if he spun me out.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm expecting it.
That was the thing we were talking about leading in the race. You don't want to deter.
For sure.
You don't want to deter that. Now it can it can go too far, but I don't think he took it too far.
I heard the crowd whenever he did that.
Yeah.
You could hear the crowd like start cheering.
You got to allow some of that to happen in that environment.
They were into it. Like
Yeah.
it was entertaining. I mean, he wasn't happy and he showed it. And the last chance qualifying race is always going to be like that. I think the guys are desperate to get in. It's the first race of the year. They've been waiting all off season, and you got to try to get into this race. So they're going to do things they probably wouldn't do in the A main. You know what I mean? Like,
so do you think that we should we talked about the format for the Clash, and should it just be pole winners? Should we keep the format what it is because we get the heats and the LCQ and we get the drama and excitement?
I was thinking about that, and if you're going to run that track, to me, I feel like that format was really good. If you're going to a Daytona or somewhere like that, I only want the pole winners. I want the guys that qualify the win. But if you're going to a short track, to me, I think heat races with that sort of action really, you almost have to. I don't think that was the show, man. Them guys desperate to get in. But if you go to Daytona and you run them, you have all the pole winners. Then to me, there's less beating and banging there. You don't take as many risks, but it is the fastest. You know what I mean? So
we've debated formats for a long time, and I'm kind of tired. And so I was entertained with this one. I would keep it the way it is. It was a pure race, no gimmicks, no inverting and silliness, and none of the it was no gimmicks. Show up, run your heat, run the last chance race if you have to. Here's the main. Do your best. And I think with the choose rule, it gives you a real shot to get through the field. It's up to you whether you want the inside or the outside at this track. And the outside groove surprised the out of me.
Me too.
I was really happy to see that. So, if a guy did a really good job in the middle of the corner and got pointed and got in the throttle, he could beat the guy on the inside and clear himself.
Yeah.
And
it was hard.
It was very hard.
Yeah.
But it was what was great about it is once he got cleared, he had to make that choice. Am I gonna drive
Pinch
down
him?
into the corner of the bottom, risking the fact that I might get punted, or run into the guy in front of me charging the corner? I mean, and there was a lot of contact because of those moments.
For sure.
And so those were always very entertaining. And I mean, honestly, it's a quarter-mile racetrack. The heat races had 10 cars on the racetrack. You could sit there and put all 10 cars on the screen and be entertained the entire heat race. And then in the last chance race, you're watching one battle where there's a bunch of contact, but you knew there was another one happening off screen where there's a lot of contact as well. Cars 3 and 4 wide. I mean, you couldn't get enough.
For sure.
Which is exactly what you want to feel when you're watching the race. And
does this make you does action like that make you be like, man, I'm going to this race next year, knowing there's more action that you can see in person? Like there was, like you said, the leaders might have been beating and banging a little bit, but there was somebody in 5th or 6th that was really leaning on each other.
Yeah. I mean, there was probably a lot going on that we didn't see if you're watching it at home. But that's every weekend.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of things happening around the racetrack that just, you just can't get
Little
enough
battles.
cameras. But, yeah, I think I would definitely, if they go back and I'm not working, I'm definitely going to go. It's right in our backyard. And I think I think TV did a really good job of helping you understand the atmosphere.
Yeah, it was awesome.
At least I could imagine myself watching it, what it must be like to be there. And that's a hard thing for TV to do. But I'd probably go see it in person. I really enjoyed watching it. I enjoyed sitting there and just, they did a good job. I guess intros was really cool, and they didn't show that, but I heard some people.
It was. I took some video of it. I'll send it to you.
I heard some people complaining about that, but maybe now that they know intros was going to be that damn cool, because intros is usually like a afterthought at every race.
You didn't see intros at all, like anything about?
I saw some video.
So they rolled them all right at start finish line, and they introduced the driver at the start finish line, and the crew and the driver they just all watch each other and push the car around to the rest of the track. Yeah. But the people, I mean, they're
right there.
The fans are right here, and it's completely awesome because most of the people don't get that close.
Yeah.
So
I think maybe TV didn't expect the driver intros to be a thing, because at most races outside of, I guess, Bristol with the walkout
songs, yeah,
it's relatively
it's a throwaway. It's like, they booed Denny. Let's show that they cheered for this and that. It's very bland.
It is very bland at most races. Either way, I guess we could just quickly debate or conversate about what we think happens going forward. For me, this was a success, massive success, and I don't always do a really good job of talking about something I like without on something else, and so I'm trying to the clash at the Coliseum I thought was really cool the first year. I didn't love it the second year, certainly hated it. Didn't hate it, but didn't like it the third year. The only problem is like the NASCAR can't do exactly what we want and go race at the Clash once. If you're going to NASCAR to be able to work with the city and all of the Coliseum and all the things, it's got to be this kind of 3-year contract, right? Same thing with the street course at Chicago. I'm sure that wasn't a one-off and, hey, we'll see how it goes. There had to have been some commitment for multiple years there that everyone would have to adhere to, so that everybody's taking the same risk. So, I'm not going to say I think there's probably a social media tweet somewhere where I thought, I said, hey man, they should go to Bowman Gray, not the Coliseum. I'm not mad they went to the Coliseum. I think it was cool the first year. The track was forced. The radius of the corners was bad. It didn't race good at all. As you saw at Bowman Gray, the radius of the corner matters. Just that little bit more of a wider radius allowed the cars to race and go around a turn. Mm-hmm. That racetrack at the Coliseum, and I drove it in a next gen car. It's not a track. It's not a racetrack. It's not a proper racetrack at all. No one would ever take that and build it to replicate it anywhere else.
You can't race.
You can't. You wouldn't say, "Hey, man, I'm going to build somebody gives you some money, Travis, and says, "Hey, man, go build you a short track in your hometown." That ain't the layout you're going to build, right?
No.
So, I'm not mad about the Coliseum, but I know that they had to fulfill the agreement and get, and when they were done, they decided, "Hey, man, let's try this at the Bowman Gray Stadium," and I'm glad they did. It's likely that they have the same sort of commitment long term at Bowman Gray. This we may not know that there's already ink on paper for this to already go forward next year, and even a third. Who knows? So I'm not going to get too upset about what the future holds. I hope that they go back next year.
I don't see how they don't.
I hope they do.
Yeah.
I don't know that they need to do it 3 years in a row. I don't know that it needs to. I don't know that. Oh man, this needs to be the Clash for the next decade. I'd go back next year. I would even consider moving this the All-Star race to the Bowman Gray Stadium beyond the Clash. Right? Think about how good it raced. Think about how cool it was. Imagine with that track with some temp in it, with those tires wearing the way they are, and $1 million on the line. Right? Maybe that would get Denny to get a little more aggressive.
I don't want to speak for him, but I think he's shipping him then.
Yeah. Denny might not say it out loud, but, I think everybody would be a little bit more aggressive, which is exactly what you're going to have to expect when you go to Bowman Gray. And so I think, and I've seen some folks, this ain't a new idea. I've seen a lot of people on social media over the last 24 to 48 hours talking about what they believe is the best foot forward for the Clash and a few other puzzle pieces in the schedule. I think you go back to Bowman Gray and do this again next year to start the year off is a great way to get everybody excited about Daytona. Yeah, we got some fireworks. Now we're going to go Daytona and see the 500. But maybe to continue racing at Bowman Gray, they can have the All-Star race there and see how that works. And then what does that mean for Wilkesboro? I was hoping that would mean that Wilkesboro would get a points race. You know, bring back the First Union 400 or
I was gonna say a good 400 lapper there.
Yeah.
Something would be fun.
yeah. So I think that Wilkesboro's been cool, but I don't think we've really untapped the potential of what Wilkesboro can really be because the race there isn't long enough, and
I think it'd be a great long run track.
I do too, and so the way they're using the top of 1 and 2, it looks fun.
It's going to create some really good racing. And it's going to create some contact too. At points.
It's wide. They use a lot of the racetrack down there at Wilkesboro. So I think that would. And then the Clash. What does that mean for the Clash beyond Bowman Gray? There's this. They absolutely want to race in front of new audiences. NASCAR would love to race in Europe, or you see Brazil in the conversation on social media, and if that's something that we absolutely are going to see in the future, like I don't know if I don't care. I don't care if my cup racing goes overseas. I'm not for it or against it. It's not something. It doesn't excite me. But I'll watch it. But I'm not gonna be sad if it doesn't happen. Does that make sense? But if they take the Clash overseas, I think that one track that they absolutely should look at is Brands Hatch. The Indy course at Brands Hatch is it's like a short track road course. I don't think they're wanting to take the Clash maybe overseas or to some different countries. I think you have to kind of keep it on that short circuit format. You can't go to these long 1.5 or 2.5 mile or 3 mile road courses and have a Clash. That is not going to be a lot of fun.
No, it'd be boring.
Yeah. So, they may have some tracks that exist, some ovals, some small ovals that exist in some of these countries that they could try to run at. They may have, but I think Brands Hatch, while it is a road course, the Indy circuit, which I think the Euro cars run on that. They ran some races there. It's like I don't even know the distance, but it's like a mile.
It's probably just over a mile,
right? And it's
the short track
it's
is
very it's just a couple corners, and
there's some tricky corners.
There are we've ran it online.
Oh, yeah.
We've ran it on we've ran it on our sim rigs forever.
Yeah.
So I'm sure there's a lot of tracks out there that they could consider.
What do you think about people that want it to be more grassroots and go to these other tracks nearby?
Well, I love that idea a lot, but I just don't know if NASCAR would do it. Bowman Gray is an anomaly because they seat 10,000, 17,000 people.
Yeah,
whatever,
17,000.
Yep. So Bowman Gray's infrastructure, while minimal in terms of like a Charlotte Motor Speedway, it still seats 17,000 people. How many does Hickory sit? They're not going to come in there and
that'd be
build
tough.
grandstands at these places. I mean, they could put in some temporary grandstands that are going to get you another 3,000 or 5,000, maybe. But I just don't know that I just don't know that. While it would be amazing for them to go to like Hickory or some of these other short tracks to do what they did at Bowman Gray, I don't know that NASCAR will look at it like that's a realistic direction. You could say South Boston. South Boston's got a really nice facility, and that might be one of the places you could probably consider taking the race. But I don't know, man. The location of Bowman Gray, it's kind of in this very dense area, which I think you'd have to think about why that matters. I don't, if they take it to South Boston, that's 3.5. We'll have 2.5 hours up the road, and
it's a good hike from here.
Yeah.
I think the Clash in this format has found a home because I feel like you're always going to have a few oddball cars enter here because you're going to have there's guys that are going to want to run this race. Yeah. And going all the way to California, for the Coliseum, it was awesome being at the Coliseum, but missing that race the first 2 years and not not even being able to be a part of it.
Not making it through in the last chance.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you're going to
you
keep
went all the way out there to get your teeth kicked in.
And we literally just got punted in
Yeah.
one of them because
Yeah.
the guy wanted in and needed a caution, so
Yeah.
he just wrecks you. And here, not saying that's not acceptable here, but at least you're an hour away, and
I know.
you know. But
I'm of the mind, like, look, man. I mean, we to be able to go out and attract new fans. Yes, you got to travel. You got to get outside of your comfort zone, but you don't have to. Spend a ton of energy doing that. Be such an entertaining draw that they come to you. Somebody said 60% of the tickets for Bowman Gray were from outside of the state. 44 states. But so, like, I'm of the opinion that, yes, okay, if you want to go to Brazil, you want to race in front of a different audience here and there in California and so forth, absolutely go do those things, but don't, like, exhaust yourself.
yeah,
You've got a really good look at the excitement around the Bowman Gray race. There's great energy around Wilkesboro. The Rockingham Speedway is kind of coming back into the fold, and those racetracks are the racetracks we were running when the sport boomed out of control in the 2000s. We didn't explode in 2004 or around that time because we were in Brazil or going to the Coliseum.
we had everything we needed.
And
Right
everybody came to us.
And when the product is great on track for people to watch on TV, you're going to draw
Doesn't
more
matter.
viewers.
Yeah. If you're watching on TV, why do you care where it is?
It's going to be hard to get a ticket to Bowman Gray next year if they run there.
Yeah.
I think so anyway.
I've always felt that way, is like, you know, be you in terms of NASCAR. You have a lane, stay in that lane, be you, and fans will come to that. Fans will draw to that. And but I'm again, like, yes, you got to do the Chicago Street Course. You got to do that. You got the Coliseum. Good idea. Go if you want to go to Brazil. Good.
I would love to race Brands Hatch, but I would make it a points race.
Do all of those things, but not at the expense of losing Rockingham and Wilkesboro, not at the expense of losing the tracks that actually were the ones that helped you become this mammoth sport, right? So I feel like that right now we're trying to be that. We're trying to be that sport that has bringing back some of the older tracks, also still going and showcasing ourselves in front of new audiences, and hopefully that continues. You know, I'm glad the Rockingham Speedway is back. It looked like the test there was a success. The new pavement's really fast. It's probably going to be single file bottom
A little
roof.
bit, yeah.
It's probably not going to widen out. A lot of people are really optimistic that it might. I don't think it will, at least not the first race.
Yeah, it's going to take a little bit.
Yeah, and hopefully that doesn't deter people deter NASCAR from keeping it on the schedule. Give it a few years, and Rockingham will be Rockingham.
Yeah.
But
Just let it age.
yeah. So, anyways, we'll see how it all plays out. If you're a diecast collector like me, then you're excited about the start of a new race season. That's because now is the time when race teams are unveiling their new paint schemes. There's a lot of new diecast on order, and it's also when new cars start to deliver from Lionel Racing, the official diecast of NASCAR. Whether you have Junior Motorsports First Cup Series diecast already on pre-order, or you're excited about Noah Gragson's move to Front Row Motorsports, or maybe Chase Elliott's new sponsor, Amazon Prime, there are a ton of exciting things happening in NASCAR this season. And what's so great about a diecast collection is that it can tell the story of it all like no other collectible can. To help kickstart your 2025 diecast collection, Lionel Racing has a special offer for Dale Jr. Download listeners. Get free U.S. shipping on your next order when you use the promo code DOWNLOAD25 at LionelRacing.com. That's free shipping with the promo code DOWNLOAD25. That's download with the number 25 at LionelRacing.com.
For those who are curious as to what's going on, Dale pulled up the chat
yeah.
so he can read all your comments
I
as well.
see everybody. What's up, Dale? Says Anthony K. How you doing? I love this. I don't know why I haven't done this all these years.
It's so much fun, isn't it?
Yeah. Do I think North Wilkesboro should get a points raise for Cup? Yes. 400. We talked about this.
I asked questions.
Sorry.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hey. Sorry. Network cable guy.
This is Ask Junior Live, and we are on our YouTube page. Thank you guys for liking. Make sure you like. I'm going to hit that button right now. I'm going to like it, and I'm already subscribed.
I like it.
So I'm sure everybody here's already subscribed. Make sure you hit that. I see only 21 of you have liked it.
I liked it.
Let's let you go up. Come on. It's not going up in real time. I guess I have to refresh. But anyways, I'm glad you're here. We had a conversation, me and TJ, around the Bowman Gray race. I think the general consensus is that it was fun. Everybody had fun, and we hope to do it again. So we'll see what goes down in the future, but hopefully you'll tune in and listen to some of our critiques or opinions about what we experienced this past weekend. I was working in Florida, so I didn't get to go to Bowman Gray, but TJ was boots on the ground. And so we both had two unique perspectives, I think, consuming the race in person versus on a TV. But we got some great questions. Andrew's here, gonna get some great questions for us today for Ask Junior. So let's get started.
Yeah, this is fresh off the presser here.
Oh.
And Charles wants to know. So Xfinity just announced the Xfinity fastest lap, which will be awarded 1 point to the driver and team in each series who runs the fastest lap of the race. So just, I guess, initial thoughts, reactions. What do you guys think of that?
So if I'm hearing this right, Xfinity will have a fastest lap award in Xfinity Series
and Cup
and truck.
Yep.
And whatever driver runs that lap,
like the fastest lap of the
very
race,
fastest lap of the race,
you get a point. It's pretty cool.
I think it's amazing. I do miss like the most laps led bonus, even leading a lap bonus. I miss that because I remember being a kid and just, Dad was going to race for championships. You knew that. That was kind of we were certainly spoiled in that regard. We knew when we went to the racetrack, Dad was racing for a championship, so every day was an important day to get as many points as possible. And so you were literally willing Dad into the lead in these races back in the 80s and the 90s, going, God, we got to lead a lap. All right, we did it. We led that lap. We got that point. We got that 5 points. And if he was having a really great day, that was a conversation you were having before even the race ended. Did we just lock that up? Did we lock up leading the most laps right there? Yeah, we did. Okay, no one can get that point, that 5 points from us. And those were things that entertained you. Those were ingredients and little nuggets about NASCAR that entertained fans. So I love this. I think this is perfect. In the 1998 and 1999 Xfinity Series seasons, MCI, I think, is the brand or the company. There was a company that had a $10,000 bonus to whoever ran the fastest lap in the race. You had to be leading the race to for this lap to count. But Tony Jr. and our whole team, that was really important. It wasn't that they got the share in the $10,000 check, but they wanted to be the team that got that every week. It was being the fastest was a point of pride to Tony Jr. and Tony Sr. And I have every single – they would give you so that, if you won the MCI Fastest Lap Award at the Xfinity race, the next weekend during drivers' intros, when you were introduced, whatever award you won the week before or multiple, they would bring that onto the stage. So you would go up, get introduced, pause, stand there, and they would say, winning last week's MCI Fastest Lap Award, Dale Earnhardt Jr., and they'd bring this big giant check up there, and an MCI or whoever the person was with the company, or the Plasticoat crew chief of the race. They would have the crew chief that won that award the last week at the stage, and he would go up and get introduced and accept his award in this big cardboard check. I have all of those MCI Fastest Lap Awards hanging in my garage at home right now. That's how much those
It's a
meant.
big deal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Might not be significant today because it's a very small award and it didn't give points toward the season total or anything like. It was just another carrot out there for Tony Jr. and the team to chase, and they wanted all the carrots.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't want anyone else to win anything. And so I love this. I think these type of little things that drive competition or push our competitors to achieve is really cool. And as we know, and I know the fans joke about this when we say in our broadcasts, every point matters. They joke about that because we say it over and over. Like they know every point matters, right? We don't have to keep saying it, but we do. We do say it. There may be a new fan tuned in that doesn't know that every point matters, and we need to tell them.
Guess what?
Yeah.
It does.
And so this is a point that's out there for these guys to try to strive to accumulate. And you could win multiple of these, right? And that could really make a difference in, seeding for the playoffs or even making the playoffs.
Imagine being on the cut line and just you're 1 point out and you run a heater of a lap and now all of a sudden you're in.
Yeah.
Or you're watching, can someone else beat that lap? Like it's something that's another storyline to follow during a race.
So where this is probably going to take most place is Talladega in the playoffs.
I would love for this. I'm not sure about the details. I'm not sure about what are you laughing at?
Dalton just commented in the YouTube chat, hey guys, just letting you know every point
Yeah.
matters, in case you didn't hear.
I'm not sure about the details of this particular bonus point. It would really, really be great if it was only tracking the leader of the race and not just anyone. I mean, and I guess it really doesn't matter at every other racetrack except for, to your point, TJ, Daytona and Talladega.
Yeah. We do this already, but we just don't get points for it because your fastest lap of the race is already weighed in. So
Keep going. Tell us why.
Because if it all matters in your qualifying position next week, and sometimes if you in the lower series too, sometimes if you don't, it matters where your pit stall is going to be and things like that. So we're already doing this every week if you can.
So the fastest lap that you run in the race affects your qualifying, your pit stall, all of those. When you get to choose and when you get to decide the next weekend, right? It is part of the equation that decides the qualifying order.
Yeah. Like if qualifying gets rained out.
Oh, got it. Yeah, right.
Or pit stall selection.
Right.
And so to TJ's point, they're already all out there, especially
Doing
at
that.
Atlanta. If you're not up in the top 10, you're not going to drive up in there and get your ass wrecked.
Yep.
You're going to go to the back and get these big toes and try to be the guy that puts this insurmountable lap up to be able to know that that's going to help you next week in qualifying order and so forth, which may mean something, may mean nothing, depending on how the weather and all the dynamic track is for qualifying the next weekend. But they're doing this.
Yeah,
They're
I
already,
have a screen in front of me that I can go to and look at the fastest laps of the race so I can see where we stack up.
And so for Talladega, Daytona, Atlanta, and some of those tracks, I almost feel like that this only should matter to the car that's leading the race. This bonus point, right, for the fastest lap should only go to – the fastest lap should only be tracked by the lead car.
Like if you're leading when you run that lap.
Yeah, if you're fifth and you run the fastest lap, sorry. Great, but you got to be leading the race to acquire this award. I don't know. Maybe that's
I like that the whole field is involved in it.
I will tell you this from
I think
what
in
I've
Talladega
seen.
Daytona, though, it's gimmicky.
It's going to be gimmicky. That's
Yeah.
what I was telling you.
Do
The
you not
playoff race.
understand?
Yeah, no, I understand. I mean, hell, let it be gimmicky.
No. Sorry.
I mean, at Daytona, Talladega,
Let nothing be gimmicky. Nothing.
Listen, I don't like the gimmicks, but like if it's part of the game you play at Daytona, Talladega, it's part of the game.
It's not.
I don't like the gimmicks, but let it be gimmicky.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, then I don't want to use the word gimmicky. Never mind.
We are roasting you in front of a live audience. That's not
Thank you
very
very
nice.
I'm
much.
sorry, Andrew.
That's
in front
not
of
very nice.
619 viewers.
Yeah.
Let's see, because I want to get to people were asking some great questions last week too, and I see a lot of good questions in the YouTube chat as well. But Matt was asking last week, I think he was on Twitter, what's your favorite or least favorite eBay purchase that you've made?
My favorite or least?
I guess what's like an eBay purchase maybe you regret?
Oh, shoot.
Like you're like, I didn't really need this.
Well, I mean, that probably happen more often
I
on
was gonna
Amazon.
say, that's probably most things.
No, I mean, if I'm buying something on eBay, I know that I really want this,
Yeah.
right? I'm bidding for it. It's not like a frivolous, oh, that looks cool. Let's see if this is neat.
Yeah.
Amazon will
Um,
get you.
Amazon, that happens
Yeah.
too many times. I'll buy something on Amazon, and it comes in, and it's like, ah, damn, the quality's not as good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Sometimes I buy stuff and forget I bought it, and then it
Yeah.
shows up, and I'm like, what did I order?
Yeah,
Like-
I think Amy does that too. So, we've had a couple of things come in, and it's like she's like, I don't remember ordering this, and I'm like, so it's a mistake, and she goes, yeah, I don't think I don't need that.
I like
and
when
I
she
don't
does
have
that.
I'm like,
Because I've got most time when I come over, she's like, I order this. We don't need it. You want it? Yeah, sure.
oh geez, we had a we had a set of taillights come in. It looks like it's for like a golf cart, right?
Damn it, Amy.
Little plastic brake lights. And it looks like they're very cheap, and looks like it's probably for like a very low end golf cart or something like that. And so it's her name on the box. I didn't order it because I don't need taillights for something, and she certainly didn't order it. Where's this coming from? who sent it?
TJ's ordering it.
And was it Amy? Yeah, it's sometimes like once a year, a package will come that makes no sense whatsoever.
I'm gonna start sending you these ghost
So
packages.
weird.
TJ,
Ghost
you want to
package.
get in on?
Ghost packages.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be. Well, don't they like that Christmas thing where it's like random gifts or whatever?
I am
Yeah.
on eBay strictly to buy custom die casts.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Strictly. Yeah.
Oh.
If I'm on eBay and buying something, it's a custom die cast. There's a couple guys, I probably follow about 6 or 7 sellers that make customs, and they typically make a custom, post it, sell it, and then maybe 3 or 4 weeks later they'll make the next custom, post it, and sell it. And oftentimes it's a custom of my dad's, and Dad has all these random. I got a photo album in my phone of all these random one-off cars that he drove for people. Like he'd get hired to go to this racetrack, paid $6,000 to go up north somewhere.
I was gonna say he did a lot of that, didn't he?
Yeah, on a Friday
Yeah.
night before the Cup race, and he'd go drive some local guy's car and run the feature or match race with another Cup driver like Mark Martin or Schrader. And people are now into making customs of some of these random cars that Dad had driven. And so, I don't know that, I mean, if I find one and I'm like, that's a real quality job this guy's done. We've got the new towers coming in, the new display cases coming in that Lionel has now made available again. So I got 2 of those ordered, and so I'm still into increasing my diecast collection, but it's mostly customs. Now, I have all of the late model cars that we've created, like this Sundrop, Cherry Lemon Sundrop car. So I mean, if Lionel made any of the late model stuff, I'm gonna have all that. We've had a couple of drivers come in here and autograph theirs, and I've taken those home. So I got like a Chastain autograph, a Logano autograph, Lionel, and Scott Bloomquist brought us an autographed diecast of his. So that's all that kind of stuff's in my collection. I'm hoping to get you guys over there one day with a camera and put all this stuff on film and push out a little social media clip about my personal collection, right? What's in it and why do I like this and why do I want this?
Mm-hmm.
And so I've got a little case dedicated to Ralph Earnhardt. That would have been one of them cheap cases that I bought on Amazon that I thought was way better than it ended up being, but it's still pretty cool. So anyhow, we're getting in the weeds, but I strictly buy the custom diecast on eBay. Regrettable purchases would probably fall under buying something that you thought would be this isn't really regrettable, but it was kind of a waste. So cars today, my truck for example, don't have CD players, right?
Okay.
I've got some old music that like maybe it's a local band from Charlotte, right, that didn't make it big, but I've got that CD, right, from 25, 30 years ago. And I'm not going to rip it onto my phone
Digital?
or anything. Yeah.
Why not?
I don't know, just not. I'm just like, I got the CD, so I bought a CD player that would plug into my USB in my truck to play.
Didn't even know you could
old,
do that.
Yeah, to play old CDs.
Yeah.
And I rode around in my truck for about 2 weeks listening to this old CD, and then, that was 2 months ago, and now that CD player, that little external CD player, has been sitting on the shelf, and I walk by and I go, I really need that. I mean, that didn't really need that, but yeah,
that's a good one. I'm always curious about like who's actually reviewing these things, because like I look at the reviews, because you were saying like, oh, this was not a good quality item. I'm always curious like who's leaving these reviews.
I check the reviews.
I do too, but I'm like,
Yeah.
who actually writes a review?
Yeah.
I would never write a review on, but I don't know.
Have you
Maybe
never
this would
wrote a review? I've never wrote a review on Amazon, but
No, I've written a review on like about restaurants or something.
I wrote a review on Apple with music, like when somebody released a new record.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I've written probably about two or three
good or bad?
Apple reviews. Good.
Oh, really?
Well, yeah, I'm not gonna write a review to on something.
I don't know. Some people do.
Maybe you should go back
By
to
the
the
way,
thing
you
you
can
bought.
rate and
Not
review
in-
this podcast as well. Go do that.
Not impressed with this album. Let me write a review real quick. Let me take 15 minutes out of my day. No, it's like one of your favorite bands releases a new record. You listen to it and you're like, hell yeah, they still got it. I freaking love this new record. I got to tell somebody. And you go in there and you fill it on out. Damn right, buddy. I'm normal with the.
Well, maybe
Sorry.
you should review the. Maybe you should review the CD player and just write, in the review, just write, do you really need this?
yeah, think twice. Use it for a
I
week.
need to write that review.
That's what I'm saying. Review it.
I really like this, but damn it.
Do you really need this?
In 2 weeks, you're gonna regret buying this.
This is really
That's an honest
random.
review.
You got to look up it's like the Haribo sugar-free gummy bears on Amazon.
Wait, how's that go again? What are they?
They're like these sugar-free gummy bears on Amazon.
Haribo?
People leave, the Haribo or I don't know.
Haribo?
Yeah, just look it up after this, and it's hilarious. I want to see some comments in the YouTube chat after this. But all right, we got time for one more quick one.
Oh,
Let's see. I know.
wait, we just started.
Yeah. This one's from. This was from last week's YouTube chat. And I took a screenshot of it because it was good. Yep. He says, I'm doing my bachelor party in Daytona. What are some good bars to go to raise hell?
There aren't any more. Yeah. The bars that we used to raise hell at don't exist anymore.
No, not.
That was like
come?
20 years ago.
I don't know. There could be some good staples.
No, I have no clue. If I was to...
It's not like there's a ton of, like... I know where they're gonna end up, but there's not. I mean, there's a lot of good.
What is it? Ocean Deck or? What?
Yeah, Deck Down Under, Ocean Deck.
Is it
There's
Ocean
both
Deck?
of them, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, if I was thinking about this because I'm gonna go to Daytona, and there may be a little bit of downtime, and since I'm not driving a race car, I might actually go out to the beach and just kind of hang out at some of the beach bars.
Yeah.
And have a few beers. Try to catch up with some, because a lot of industry people go to, like, I think there is an Ocean Deck.
There is.
It sounds very familiar.
Right?
There is.
Yeah.
I should like completely know the names of these places, but
Well, that's changed too.
yeah, I haven't been to the beach part of Daytona in a very long time. But
Yeah.
There's only like one club, and I think that was Razzles.
Yeah.
I think it's actually still there.
Still digging.
Yeah,
Really.
and then there's the other establishments across the street that you'll end up at. But it is the Deck Down Under and the Ocean Deck. I do think both exist.
Yeah. So I would just go to them little beach bars and get you a bucket of beer and hang out and see who walks in. You might recognize some people. You might recognize some, because a lot of the industry folks end up there.
Mm-hmm.
Might see us.
And it's a long week.
Yeah.
Like Tuesday or Wednesday on, so you'll see some people.
Yeah.
I'm seeing some places in the YouTube chat. North Turn's another good one.
Yeah,
North
Ocean
Turn's
Walk,
good.
Oyster Pub,
Oyster Pub. Yep, I recognize that.
the Brickyard.
Brickyard. I don't know
Yeah.
about that one. You can go to New Smyrna. There's some pretty cool spots in New Smyrna.
Morgan Overstreet just texted me, said Yaya's, which is
No, that's,
hole in the wall karaoke bar.
It's not it's Yaya's.
Yaya's.
Yeah.
Sorry, I think she's typing to correct me now too.
There's another
I've
town.
clearly been
There's
there.
another town right next to Daytona that starts with a D. What is it?
Daytona?
I think it's Deltona.
Yeah.
Stop.
No,
No,
seriously.
like,
It's not. No, it's like it starts with a D, but I can't remember the name of it.
it is. It's right west of where
Yes.
it's at. Yes,
But it's got like vintage record store, and probably a couple cool bars and stuff there.
Okay. There
It
is a
is.
Deltona,
It is
Florida.
Deltona?
It is.
No.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure
That
it
doesn't
is.
exist.
Deltona, Florida does exist. It's on a map.
This place is literally 10 miles away from Daytona.
It's
Not
like
very
straight
close.
It's
west.
not far. Is it inland?
The land.
Yeah.
The land.
The land, yes.
The land. You
Yeah.
dummies. Daytona.
It
Stop
it
it.
does exist.
Yeah.
I mean, there's
I
a
will
lot
not
of
back
those.
down from this.
Destin, the land. The land. A lot of
Halloween.
yeah.
We got all these holidays too.
Okay, Travis.
Wait. What's the Shark Lounge? What is that?
Yeah. I think it's closed.
Is it?
I wouldn't know, but
Oh,
yeah, I
man.
think it is. Yeah, I
Yep.
do think it's closed.
All right.
Okay, Travis gave me the we can ask one more question.
Hey,
So
thanks, Travis.
Thanks, Travis.
Thank you, Travis. For
Everybody.
extending.
Yeah.
Put a what should we put in the chat for celebrating Travis?
Give
Not
us
the fun
give us a
police.
beer
A
emoji.
beer emoji.
That's pretty
Yep.
good. Sign for Travis. This one's from Eric. Have you ever ridden? I think there's a roller coaster that was named after your dad, Carowinds.
Yeah.
Have you ever ridden that?
The Intimidator.
Yeah.
Yeah, they changed the name of it. I think
Oh, really?
it's a very contentious topic.
What the heck?
I'm just kidding. I never did ride that thing. Never.
Are you a roller coaster guy?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, just never got around to
No, never got around to it.
it. Darn,
Yeah.
that's a bummer.
I'm sorry. Let's ask another question.
Okay, this one's from Kathy, wanting to know about the Talladega Nights cameo where you asked Will Ferrell for an autograph.
Yeah.
How did that go about? And then people even wanted to know, do you still have the page that he actually signed? Like the paper he signed.
Oh no. He scribbled. It wasn't like a real autograph.
Oh, really?
But so
Great, movie's ruined.
I thought I feel like I told this story really recently.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So we filmed. They asked me to come. They asked me to be a part of it. Of course, I was like, absolutely. Thanks for asking. Where do I go? When are we gonna do this? We did it at Charlotte Motor Speedway. There was not a race happening that weekend, and we went. I drove over to the racetrack, completely comfortable driving in there. Been going there my whole life, even when there's not a race going on, you know. So drive into the racetrack and over toward turn 4, the old Cup garage, and all of these campers and little rental campers and stuff are piled into this little blacktop. And there was they were like, just go in there and park, sit around, somehow catch you, somehow grab you, get you going, hair, makeup, whatever it is. And there was a little table with about 4 chairs, nobody sitting there. I just sit down, started thumbing on my phone or something. And I got my head down, and somebody sits down at the table, and I look up, and it's Will Ferrell. And he was like, hey, man, how's it going? Thanks for coming today. And we sat there and just bullshit for about 5-10 minutes.
That's cool.
And then he's like, I'm going to get going. I'm going to get ready and do this, that. They want me over here. So he's like, they'll come get you in a minute. And I was like, all right. So we got ready. They drug me over to the, in the infield of the Charlotte Motor Speedway where it's kind of like the crosswalks, the crossroads of everything.
Yeah,
all the roads sort of converge.
Yes, yeah.
this very
I think they made it into a roundabout now.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
It is now.
It's like right outside the entrance to the Cup garage.
Oh, yeah.
That's where
I know what you're talking
that's
about.
where we were standing when
Yep.
we filmed that little sign my forehead thing or whatever,
cool,
the
yeah.
baby. So they got it. They had about 20 or 30 extras, and we were kind of gonna walk through the crowd and meet. And they had we had our lines that was scripted. He was a little bit of an ad-libber, and he could be free with whatever he wanted to say. So we did probably 3 or 4 takes, and they were like, "That's good." It was very quick, and that was that. I said, "Hey man, appreciate it, thanks." He said, "Thanks," and I went on home. And then if you watch the credits, you'll see more of the drivers and Will doing some stuff, and we did that at Talladega, and that was during the race weekend. They were like, "Hey, Will's going to come in. They want to film just some stuff. Y'all talking? He's going to be in his suit. You're going to be in the garage, and I don't know if they were planning to use it or just see how it worked, but they didn't end up using it in the movie, and I think it just rolls in the credits.
Yeah,
it's kind of like
I
a
know
little
what you're
blooper
talking
reel.
about. Yep.
That was a little more tense or nerve-wracking because They didn't have a script. They said, Will's going to just start talking. You just react.
What?
And that was really tough because, I mean, look, man, he's a professional comedian. And I felt like, am I supposed to be funny?
Right.
Or do I try to be funny? Because I'm never going to be as funny as him.
Yeah.
And what the hell do you do, you know? And I didn't want to be a fool, right? And so I was going to try to be a smart ass back. But I was never going to be as good as him. So what the hell, you know? So it was just tough. But it was really fun, really fun. You know, they just basically had us kind of walking from two different directions. We're going to bounce into each other. He said something about like, hey, man, you know, one, I think he's like, dude, you still got that? You got that 20 you owe me? You know, just, you know, he just would come
He was
up,
just coming up with things.
Yeah, he would just randomly say something, and you're just like, oh, this is where we're headed.
And did you like respond? Like, did you
yeah,
play
you're
along?
supposed to say something, so
Yeah.
you say something, right? I don't remember what I said, but it was probably not very funny. But and we did that 3 or 4 times, and then he's like, they're like, all right, good. We're good, man. That's good. Appreciate it.
Wow. That's neat.
Yeah, it's pretty neat.
But to your point earlier of saying like the second part of
Yeah.
having to do those, it's hard to be like funny on command.
Yeah.
And I think that's what he's really good at.
Yeah. I will say this, man. It makes me think about that movie. And I told the story about watching that movie for the first time at Skywalker Ranch with George Lucas.
Yes. Yeah.
And I've seen the movie a couple times, obviously. I always felt like, and I wonder if there's any real truth to this, but that movie to me, the first half of that movie was full of really, really good moments. Humorous, quirky, smart comedy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the second half of the movie felt like a completely different movie. Still funny, but like it really feels like to me, and it's probably really unlikely, but it feels like there was an entirely different director versus on the first half versus the second half. Like the whole movie felt like it just had this one vibe, and then right at the middle point,
It's like we found a plot halfway through.
Yeah, and then it had a completely different vibe. Not bad, not good, not.
It's different.
It just totally different. Like the whole production crew quit at halfway, and they had to bring in this other one, and it just seems different. But the whole the vibe, like the story, like to your point, the plot sort of just got introduced in the middle of the show, you know. But like the first part of the movie is a lot of just jokes about NASCAR, right? You know, the what do I do with my hands and all of that stuff, and it's all the just quick, witty jokes about our sport, which was really fun to sort of the self-deprecation of NASCAR. And but then the second half, the plot comes in, and you're like, I kind of like the first half better. I was more entertained, I guess, by that. But anyway, still a good movie, and even though it was a joke, we can definitely handle being the butt of the joke.
I was curious what your thoughts were on that.
I didn't mind it. I thought it was good for NASCAR. I thought it put us in front of a new audience.
Yeah.
And yes, it poked fun at us. But I don't know that I don't know that it was not detrimental to NASCAR in any way.
Yeah.
I don't think. And so if anything, it kind of it improved our popularity outside of our own bubble, right?
Sure.
All the people that are already in the tent. But best favorite, strictly NASCAR. Favorite NASCAR movie.
What's yours? You go first.
Last American Hero.
Okay.
Last American Hero is Jeff Bridges is the star. It's about Junior Johnson, roughly, loosely, and Junior Johnson's story as a moonshiner and a driver. And I don't know why. I think the reason why I like it is because it was before it was done in 71 or 72, 73, and it's before Hollywood eventually, right, is going to sensationalize. You know, in the we know when we see movies made about people that we know the story, you see some of the Hollywood sensationalism creep into the story, and they embellish, right, in parts because they got to make it right. It's a movie. But this was made about racing, about NASCAR, before that was really a thing, I believe. And so it's authentic. It's really authentic. And so, his when they're filming at the short tracks and filming his sort of rise to the big time, it's a really authentic feel. And staying in boring, lonely old hotel rooms and getting in disagreements with, these punks at these local racetracks.
Yeah.
And, and there's some footage of Ralph Earnhardt in there driving at Metrolina that's really neat. But I don't know. I just thought it didn't feel like they stretched any truths in that movie.
Authentic.
Yeah, it's really authentic. But some cool actors in it, too. Jeff Bridges, badass.
Yeah.
I mean, back before Jeff Bridges was super, super famous, he played played Junior Johnson in a NASCAR movie. How damn cool is that?
Yeah.
How many movies do you know of, Andrew? Racing movies?
Good question. I mean, well, I will kind of cheat and use the YouTube chat, and I did want to give them a shout out, but I'm seeing a lot of Strucker Race.
There's a
Days of Thunder, obviously.
Gary in here said Strucker Race. I love Strucker Race, and that reminds me too. Gary Busey was in Last American Hero. He's Jeff Bridges' brother, Gary Busey.
Yeah.
But I love Strucker Race. I thought Strucker Race was awesome. When I was a kid and it came out, I thought it was amazing, and it's still one of my favorites. Six Pack.
I think I saw. Yeah.
Love Six Pack as a kid.
Yeah.
Diane Lane.
Jake just said Six Pack with about 10 exclamation points.
Six Pack was
YouTube chat.
Six Pack was badass because of the dirt car. That dirt car that Brewster Baker drove was freaking insane cool. That Camaro and the paint scheme on that thing, it was neat as hell. Brewster Baker is a badass racing name. I mean, just cool. And when you watch those movies, and Love Will Turn You Around, the theme song that Kenny Rogers had for Six Pack, that's in my rotation. I listen to that today. The opening guitar on Love Will Turn You Around, freaking awesome.
You listen to that today?
Yes, it is my favorite Kenny Rogers song, and I have many.
Yeah.
But I thought it was cool that Burt Reynolds, I mean, when Burt makes Strucker Race, he's coming off of all of those badass movies that he's making, Cannonball Runs and all of that stuff, and Smoking the Bandit. He's coming right off of that and could have probably done anything he wanted, and he made a racing movie.
It's awesome.
It is.
It's a big deal. That's a big compliment.
It was
especially
big.
then.
It was really, really big for us to be, I mean, if you're a fan, I always looked at it like, yeah, man, they're celebrating this niche thing that's happening in this little small corner of the country, and they're shining a light on us.
It's awesome.
Yeah, and so I loved all those movies. I don't think that I loved Days of Thunder. Thought it was cool. The rumors around that
number 2.
Yeah, having a number 2. I'm down.
You're down?
Heck yeah.
Be so cool.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see.
I wonder what the plot would be for like Days of Thunder 2.
I don't know. Yeah.
And Tom Cruise looks like he hasn't even aged. So
I'm curious if they would have him. I'm curious if he's still driving in Days of Thunder 2.
Yeah, right.
Is he the owner now?
He's like Casey Kane. Just doesn't age.
Yeah. Super Bowl 59, one game, two teams, endless possibilities, and there's no better way to make every play a little more exciting than with FanDuel Sportsbook. It's whether you're predicting the first touchdown, the coin toss, or the MVP trophy, FanDuel makes it easy to place and adjust bets all game long. Plus, new customers, they can score $200 on their first bet. I'm a little sad that my Washington Commanders came up short in the NFC Championship game, but it was a fun ride, and my buddy TJ, he saw his Bills lose again. At least I've been able to see my team win it all before. But the fun is not over. It's always fun betting on the Super Bowl, and with FanDuel, it's even more fun with all the prop bets they offer. Download the app or head to FanDuel.com/Dale Jr. and bet with FanDuel, the official partner of Super Bowl 59. All right, so we got some news about a live show that's coming to Daytona. We want to give you all the particulars here. Obviously, we got some amazing partners at SiriusXM, and Dirty Mo and SiriusXM are going to team up and host a live show in the Fan Zone in the Daytona infield. This is Thursday, February the 13th from 3 to 4:30 p.m. I'm going to be hosting the show from 3 to 4. the Dale Jr. Download. I'm going to be joined by Jeff Gluck and Jordan Bianchi from the Teardown, and Andrew as well.
I'll be there.
So I was hoping, I requested that we get Gluck and Bianchi.
Yeah.
Because I've never really got to sit down with those guys in that kind of a format.
And they're excited.
And I am too. And they've got their opinions about things going on. And so that'll be a fun hour. So from 3 to 4, again, I'll be hosting the Dale Jr. Download live on February 13th on Thursday in the fan zone of the Daytona infield. We'll have some special guests dropping by. And then from 4 to 4:30, there'll be a crossover show with some of the SiriusXM NASCAR radio hosts. We'll have Denny Hamlin from Actions Detrimental, and Andrew's going to be sticking around as well for that. We're going to have some fun giveaways. We'll take some questions from the crowd, obviously. So if you're in Daytona, this is something you're going to want to check out and be a part of. There's a lot of room down there in the fan zone, and a lot of fun stuff to interact with, so you'll be able to enjoy the show and have some fun. All you need to watch the show live is a ticket to the Daytona Fan Zone for Thursday. And you can go to DaytonaInternationalSpeedway.com/hardrockbet -fan zone. That's pretty cool. Hard Rock Bet is promoting the fan zone. Some good folks. We'll also be posting the Dale Jr. Download portion right here on the podcast feed and on YouTube afterwards for anyone who can't be there live in person. But for the Dale Jr. Download with me, Gluck, Bianchi, and Andrew, Justin Allgaier is going to drop by. Helio Castroneves is coming by. Martin Truex Jr. and Cole Pern.
It's so
together.
exciting.
Yeah. So that'll be a great conversation. So when we transition at 4 p.m. from the Dale Jr. Download, we're going to bring in Mike Bagley, Daniel Trotta, Pete Pistone, and Alex Weaver, and Andrew as well, to be hosts from the 4 to 4:30 segment, along with Denny Hamlin, 3-time Daytona 500 champion. After the 4:30 mark, they'll continue in the fan zone, entertaining folks with SiriusXM Speedway. That's Dave Moody and Alex Weaver. And Jimmy Johnson's coming by at 4:30. And at 4:40, Ross Chastain. Richard Petty stops in at 5 o'clock, and then William Byron at 5:15. And so that ought to be a lot of fun.
Dale, I will add, just like that YouTube live segment we had, we want to get the fans involved. And so there's going to be an opportunity to ask questions throughout this whole thing. As you mentioned, giveaways. So it's going to be kind of like the fans are clued in on us having conversations with all these guests on stage, which I think is what I'm most excited about.
Live shows are tricky, but they are a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to being there with you, Andrew, and Gluck and Bianchi, and we'll have a good time during that hour. 3 to 4, February 13th, Thursday. Be there, Daytona Fan Zone. Let's have some fun. All right, it's time for the Dirty Mo-Do segment, and we're going to bring in Alex Timms. We're going to talk about the Super Bowl. But one thing I got to say, man, I'm seeing this all over the place. People think Dirty Mo-Do disappeared.
I know. It's right here.
What in the hell?
No, it's right here. We're doing content throughout the year.
Yeah. I've been seeing you and Travis. You guys are creating all kinds of content around Dirty Mo-Do and still putting out a lot of great advice. So, folks, if you were to say, hey, man, if I was a listener and I was like, Alex, Dirty Mo-Do is gone. You didn't tell me. I didn't see it. Where do I wait? No, you're still doing some stuff. Where do I find it?
You find it right here on the Dale Jr. Download. You'll find it on Dirty Mo-Do's YouTube channel. We'll have videos throughout the year.
Dirty Mo-Do's YouTube channel's still here.
Still active.
Still active.
Okay.
We're gonna post stuff on there. I'm always active on Twitter. If you got a question, you
subscribe to it.
Yeah, subscribe to it. Message me on Twitter. I mean, you can find it.
Jeez. All right. So Dirty Mo-Do is
He's
alive.
1-0 on his picks for NASCAR this year.
Dirty Mo-Do is alive and well, y'all. Come on. We got big plans. All right.
Big wins.
We got big plans. So, anyways, we got to. Did you do anything for the Clash? Yeah, I know you were saying on Dirty Mo-Do's content. You were saying that you're not likely to put anything down on the Clash because
I wasn't, but I bet Chase Elliott to win. Yeah,
of course you did.
You know what it was this year? I kind of was simplifying it. I'm like, you know what? If I like a guy to win, I'm just gonna bet him. And I like Chase. He was fast. I didn't think he could pass on a short track unless they dumped him. So he did the dumping.
Yeah. So big win there for you. Let's go on into the Daytona 500. I imagine there's all kinds of things that you could partake in coming up. You know, you got the duels, you got qualifying. You messing with any of that before you actually start the Daytona 500?
You know, I don't think so. I think this drafting track is really like the only one I wouldn't, because I see a lot of people ask about McDowell because he won about every drafting track pole last year, but he switched teams, and I think there's a lot of unknown. Yeah, he's a brand new team,
not
brand
driving
manufacturer.
a Ford no more. That makes a massive difference.
And also, like year to year, like Hendrick had their dominance. Now it's Fords. You don't know when that shift's going to happen. I feel like you need a race to kind of see how it plays out, and then you kind of can go for it at Atlanta or Talladega, whatever you want. So
what is your approach to Daytona this year?
It's very similar to Bowman Gray. Have fun. I bet the long
Conservative.
shots. Yeah, I mean, listen, it's fun to have the Ricky Stenhouse, bet. It's fun to have the guy, that underdog. It's such a crapshoot. We say it every year, but it really is.
It is. So I guess where does the betting community feel? Where do they line up right now with the? A couple years ago, this guy made an insane amount of money. Placing, Rick Ware and a few other, Spire and a few other teams in the top 5. I forget the teams, but he had this really just stroke of luck where 3 or 4 teams finished in the top 5.
Yeah.
Ended up like making $1 million or something. Where does the community sit on stuff like that? Is that still a thing? Are you going to put a parlay together, or are you going to bet a couple of those teams to have that kind of stroke of luck?
I mean, if you're going to, this is the race to do it. I don't see why you won't throw $1 or something small on it. Because what if it does hit? You win all that money. But I wouldn't go too crazy with those, because they are long shots for a reason, and you're getting that payout and that price for a reason. But I mean, hey, it's the first race of the year. Why not have some fun? And you might get lucky.
How smart are the books getting?
Pretty smart. I mean, Chase Briscoe was the favorite for the Clash in his first race with the 19 car.
Wow.
Early in the week, yeah, and I thought that was really surprising. Which
I mean, nothing against Chase, but
no, but it's his first race with a new team.
Yeah, you got to wait and see.
Yeah, I mean, and they're always very, very high on Ty Gibbs to get that first win. So you're not going to compete with that. So they adjusted pretty well this year. I was surprised.
I got you. All right, so no, you're going to give me a bet you're going to make for the 500? Like, hey, what can I tell?
Well, I will say I still got a week to prepare here, but I will say I do think it's going to be a big name going to win. Like, we had William Byron win last year. I think we're going to go on a run here. We had that run with like Cindric, McDowell, Stenhouse.
Yep.
I think it's shifting to now we're going to have like a Kyle Busch, a Kyle Larson, maybe a Ryan Blaney, somebody who hasn't won before that's going to sneak through and win again this year.
All right. Well, we'll have another chance, I think, to talk about this. But we wanted to put down a parlay for the Super Bowl, and I've been thinking about this. I was working with some friends this past weekend who are in this type of thing, and they asked me to put together a parlay. And you can do 3 or 4, but I ended up with 4 that I feel pretty good about. But we're going to sit down and do our own 4-player parlay for the Super Bowl between TJ, myself, you, and Travis.
Is TJ gonna watch? I know it's the Super Bowl, it's a big event, but can you bring yourself to watch the Super Bowl with the Chiefs, TJ?
I don't want. I'm sure I'll watch part of it, but I'm not sure I'll sit there and watch the whole game this time.
I wouldn't be able to.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'll watch some of it, but this is probably the most excited I've been for a Super Bowl in a long time.
Well, TJ, if you will open your betting app and we'll place this 4-player parlay, I bet you'll tune in with more incentive.
This will be the incentive to want to watch this game, so I'm going to go with the Saquon Barkley anytime touchdown.
Damn, he jumped right in there. All right. Anybody else?
I'll go. I got
a
Juju Smith-Schuster over 16.5 receiving yards. Seems pretty low.
Sorry, TJ. I got Patrick Mahomes over 1.5 passing touchdowns.
Hey, I like that.
That's a good one.
I'm not surprised with you.
All right, so I looked at a couple trends, I guess is a way to put it. Jake Elliott kicking points over 6.5. I think he's cleared this in the last 7 games. And I, the one thing about that is, don't y'all? I felt like as the playoffs begin, things tighten up.
Mhm.
Everybody plays a little tighter, a little smarter, a little closer to the vest, and particularly in the Super Bowl, the overs are not. I think teams don't underplay or downplay, but those guaranteed touchdown drives sometimes may end up just being 3 points.
Yeah.
Right.
A little more conservative. They just want points on the board. Yeah.
Yep.
That's good for this game. I'll tell you why as well, is because the Eagles are going to get close to scoring, and they don't like when the team score on the Chiefs. So there's going to be a lot of holding calls on third downs. They're going to have to kick field goals.
Oh, is that right? I think Jake Elliott clears 6.5 on kicking points, and so I'll take that one. So Juju over 16.5 yards receiving.
Mm-hmm.
Jake Elliott over 6.5 kicking points. TJ's going with Barkley for an anytime touchdown. And Travis has Patrick Mahomes for over 1.5 passing touchdowns. There was another prop that I was looking at, just kind of curious what you guys' opinion is. So Barkley, I think his line's at 110 yards.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Which is
it's crazy.
That's a lot.
In a Super Bowl, that's really
But, I
a
mean,
lot.
dude, he's insane.
He really is.
I think I read somewhere that the Chiefs haven't allowed a 100-yard rusher in the playoffs.
During this whole run.
Yeah. What do you think Barkley does in terms of overall yardage? I feel like an alt line of 80 is a good line.
That, or if you could find one where it's like receiving and rushing yards combined or something.
Yeah.
Because I could see him getting like a screen or two going.
Yeah. Honestly, I think he's going to be game planned against. They're going to have to find a way. They're going to make Jalen Hurts throw the ball. He's tough to stop. Like, planning to and actually stopping him is two different things.
Sure.
But, I mean, this is the Chiefs, right?
Yeah, because I'm sure the other teams they played didn't game plan for Saquon.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sure they didn't.
This is the Chiefs.
Well, I think that I wanted to go for Barkley's rushing, but his lines, for me, that 110 is pretty high.
There is a new feature on FanDuel I'm seeing for the Super Bowl they're laying out. It's called Your Way, where you can actually set a player props line to like the exact yard you want. So say you want like 72, you can set that. Now the odds will change with the yards you want, but to throw that in your parlay, it's pretty interesting.
Barkley at plus 75 yards is 750.
Oh man,
it's terrible.
They don't want to get beat with him.
No,
they really don't.
Yeah.
If he has 100 yards, I think they win.
I think they can still. I think Chiefs can still beat him.
Oh yeah.
I mean, because the thing about it is like he's bad to break off that 60 or 80 yard run, and that'd be the bulk of his work, right? And I think he had against Washington, he had a little calf or a little, kind of a lower leg concern, we'll say. And of course, when they get the big lead against Washington, he didn't play as much. So it'll be interesting to see, I guess, how healthy he is.
He does have long runs.
Yes, he does. And while that's awesome, if you're betting his line, I think the Chiefs. I think that even if he busts off a long run here and
that's
there,
not healthy for the Eagles. They need a long drive, like steady.
The Eagles needs him to be like 7 here, 8 there, 9 there, 6 there, 10 there.
Good news is he does that like 2 or 3
build
times
his
a game.
get his 110 yards that way.
Yeah.
To keep their drives alive. It's
sure.
weird. He's so dominant, and but there'll be times when they don't just seem to utilize him as much as like you would lean on him as much as you'd think. But I'm curious. I'll be curious to see how the Chiefs game plan against him, and but I'm hesitant to like 80 yards. It seems like he should be able to get that, but to only be.
Yeah.
You won't really be moving your overall parlay line. That
on
much.
the counterpart, it's hard to imagine he's not a big part of Philly's offensive game plan.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not going to go against that.
No.
So, I mean, 80 is a good number, I think.
But it's all right. All right, so I like our parlay, man. We're going to go with Juju over 16.5 yards, and then Jake Elliott over 6.5 kicking points. Patrick Mahomes, 1.5 passing touchdowns over that, and then Barkley in the end zone. Even if Barkley doesn't get his 80, I see him scoring a touchdown. One way or another. That man is not – he's been on a mission all year.
Yeah.
He's going to find the end zone. All right. Hey, Tims, thanks for showing up, man. Appreciate you. Great information. Again, we'll dive more into Daytona in next week, I suppose.
Yep, going to be a good year.
All right. All right, it's time for the white flag. The teardown was live on YouTube from Bowman Gray after the clash, breaking down the race. Gluck and Bianchi, man, they do such a great job. Love listening to their show, getting the instant reaction from what we watched as fans. And then on Monday, Action's Detrimental dropped. Denny had a good race going until eventually, Chase and Ryan drove by. We're looking forward to how his 2025 season goes. New crew chief, a lot of things going on with him. Obviously, the involvement that he has with his own team as an owner. It's gonna be fun to see how that season plays out. But the new look door bumper clear also dropped Monday, and Ryan Blaney joined the show. I actually sat on my couch last night with Amy and watched the entire show. A lot of fun. Really happy with this first show, and I know they'll get their sea legs. And I thanked Ryan. I sent him a text for coming in and being our first guest for the new look door bumper clear. But I thought the show was a lot of fun.
It was good.
Yeah.
And apparently he showed up before Freddie got to the studio, so
Yeah, there's some good chemistry there, and I think they'll just continue to get better. Tommy was awesome. And he's
wild.
Yeah, but he does. I mean, he's got some great opinions, and he's measured when he needs to be, but he's also very honest. But so I'm excited to have him as part of our team. I've always had a lot of respect for that guy. I've never really had a lot of time around him, so I'm thankful that maybe this partnership and him being part of the family, we'll get to know Tommy better. Tomorrow, my interview with Richard Childress drops. That was a great conversation. I think you're going to want to listen to. And then Herman Schrader and the Speed Street Boys, they're at it again. That's also dropping Wednesday. And then Thursday, we can finally talk about it. Bless Your Heart comes out. Amy joined me last season once a month. Well, we're tuning it up a little bit, and we're turning it up. We got a brand new show every Thursday. I'll be straight up, man. I'm not going to be asking Amy's opinion on who she thinks is going to win this race or what she thought of the Clash. We may talk racing because it's what my life is, but for the most part, I'm kind of wanting to let her take the lead on this. And I want to spend the whole year like helping her or seeing her develop into the host that brings us on air, and it should be a lot of fun. So, hopefully you'll give it a listen. I know we'll have a lot of people that'll tune in just because they've had a lot of fun listening to me and Amy over the past year. But it should also reach maybe a unique crowd that doesn't doesn't really listen to some of our other content. But there's no race this weekend, but don't worry. We're going to have a full Dirty Air show on Tuesday as we dive deeper into the season and the upcoming Daytona 500. Can't wait to lay out our playoff predictions next Tuesday. Let's get all the predictions ready, Travis.
Yep.
Let's do a Final Four. One thing I enjoyed the other day was doing talking with Tim's about the over-under on their win totals. Yeah, the win totals for some of the teams. So that should be a lot of fun. Another thing that I would love to bring back is the Immaculate Grid.
Okay.
Yeah. I know that probably was a pain in the ass for Tim's to come up with back in the day, but those were pretty fun. And now that TJ's here, I think we could have some good times. I would probably take TJ to school and some of that stuff.
Okay.
To test his knowledge. But
what do you think, TJ?
You ever done an Immaculate Grid, TJ?
No.
It's freaking fun.
I'm looking
Do you
forward
know
to the
what they
challenge.
are?
No.
Basically, there'll be like 4 teams here or 3 teams or 4, and then 4 teams here, and you got to match the driver that drove for each team.
How far are you going back?
Oh, it's back.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you get real far back, you're going to be...
Well, at least you'll get educated. You might not win, but you will get educated.
It'll be a lesson.
Yep. Anyways, we're gonna have a good year with Dirty Air, TJ. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too. Should
All
be
right.
good. Hopefully the races are... I know they're going to be exciting and give us lots to talk about.
Yeah, for sure. All right, man. Have a good weekend. Everybody enjoy the Super Bowl. And, again, tomorrow, guest interview coming out with Richard Childress. And bless your heart. And then, we're going to check out the Super Bowl, see if our parlay wins. See y'all later.
See ya.